Hey, what's up everyone? Tim here. So for today's tutorial, we're learning how to tie the KBK bar paracord bracelet, and that is this pattern here. So I learned this method from J.D. Lenzen of tying it all together. However, I've just slightly adapted his original technique and changed it up so I can use my own knot and loop method of closure. His is slightly different. But anyways, here's the close-up of the design. Just gonna have a look. Decide whether or not you want to try this one out. Really intricate design in this one. I would class this, the difficulty level, as I'd say intermediate, almost advanced. It's a little bit finicky to do, but overall it's not too bad. I just need a little practice to get the pattern down. Okay, and please do watch to the end of the video. I make some very important annotations in this design. Because some things happened as I was making it that I didn't realize would happen, but you'll see those in the tutorial video. Okay, so that being said, let's get into the tutorial. Okay, so I've got my paracord ready, got my core tied off. You'll notice something different about my core this time. I decided to do a two-color core because in this particular weave you can see the core strands, and it actually looks better when you have two separate colors that match your main paracord. It just makes the bracelet and the pattern itself look better. And I've got the midnight blue on one side and the gray on the other side. And what you'll notice I've done up here is that I've got my middle point kind of bent over. This is where my loop is going to be formed, and you'll notice that it's the melted point isn't in the center. That's because I want to begin tying my bracelet over top of the melted part, the joined section. That way we can hide it and it'll look a lot better. Okay. So yeah, I've got that ready to go, and of course I've got my diamond knot tied off. I will always annotate the tutorial for this at the end of the video. Okay, I've got my paracord ready to go. I've got 5.5 feet of each. I think that should be more than enough, and I'm doing a bracelet that I think from a loop to the end of the knot is about 8.5 inches, but the woven section is about a little bit less than that. Okay, so with that out of the way, let's get started. So we're going to take our core and we're going to put our paracord behind it, and we're going to lock everything down with just a simple over-under bow knot, the type of knot you tie when you tie your shoelaces. So just one over the other like that. Nothing fancy here. We've got a lot of paracord to work with this time. Okay, like that. Make sure we don't lose our loop. Then we're going to pull it tight. Now this actual weave, I will be honest and say it would be a lot easier with a jig. And when I was practicing this weave before the tutorial, I actually used a kind of makeshift jig with a clipboard and just another kind of C-clamp or clamp, and it did work a lot better. But I decided to do this without my makeshift jig just because of the angle, and it doesn't really work with my tripod setup. Anyways, so we've got that tied down. And now we can start the main part of our weave. Okay, and just before you start, you want to make sure your setup is exactly like mine. You see how I've got my blue strand on the blue side and gray on the gray? You want that to match up, otherwise the colors will be flipped and it won't look as good. It'll still look alright, but it won't be the result we're aiming for. Okay, so now, this is the first knot you're going to do. You're going to take the strand on the right, I'm going to take my blue, put it behind. Okay, and then we're going to take the gray and take it behind the blue strand, and then we're going to go over the middle strand, the gray strand in the middle, and then we're going to go underneath this strand in here in the middle, and then through this end here. Okay, I know that's a little confusing, but just bear with me for a second. Okay, so we went through that loop we created. Now if that was confusing, just pause the screen right here and see if you can get this set up. Okay, this is what we're looking to get. So I went behind the blue on that side, over the coarse gray strand, underneath the strand in the middle that it formed, and then through the hole. on this side, the loop on this side, okay? And then we're going to tighten that. So I'm going to cinch this all the way up and use my thumbs and cinch it shut. Okay, so that was kind of the hardest part. And then we're going to get into the repeating pattern now. And this knot, I noticed, or this weave, you have to kind of play with it to get all the little spaces out. That is if you don't want, spaces in your weave. Okay, now with this weave, I'm going to lead with the gray strand for this main part, okay? So I'm going to put the gray strand, and you always want to match it up with this knot here, this knot going sideways. You want to match that up. And then you're always going to take your other strand, in this case my blue strand. I'm going to do that same knot, pretty much we did last time, but this time we're going over top. So over that one, behind this gray middle strand, and this time we're going to go through this loop in the middle, this hole in the middle, and then out this loop, okay? So through, so it's like it's an over-under, so over this middle one, and then under the last one. I know it's a little bit more confusing because the strands are long, but just take your time with it and you'll get it. So again, if you're confused, this is where you should be now. Okay? And then we're going to tighten that. With this knot, yeah, it's a little harder to tighten. That's why I said it's better. This one's probably easier to do on a jig or a clipboard. Okay? So we're going to adjust it, get all the gaps out. There. That's our first knot. So now again, we're going to lead with the gray. See how there's a double kind of knot, 2 stitches here? We're going to create that again on this side. See? There's 2 here. I'm going to create that 2 stitches. Again, we're going to take the blue, go over top that one, go under the core strand on the right, then over the middle strand here that we've created, and then behind this one and out through this way. So over and then under, like that, okay? We pull all the excess through. Okay, so again, now this is where you should be. Okay, all right, and that's basically the repeating technique. And you will, after each knot, have to kind of cinch everything up like this. Okay, we've got that snaking blue that's going left and right again. So again, always look for this stitch here. If you ever get lost, look for that lead one you're working with. In this case, it's my gray. So I go match that up, make the 2 there. Blue over that one. And then behind that one, over the middle, and out through the loop we created. Okay, so like that. Alright, so I'm going to continue weaving all the way down my spine, and then I will show you guys how to finish this one off. Okay? Alright guys, so I'm done weaving, woven the sufficient length of my bracelet. Now I've come to the end, and I think for this one it would be best to lock it down with a single cobra stitch, just to make sure these strands don't get loose. Alright, so we're just going to do the gray in this case, just because I think let's work out a bit easier. Put the gray across the core, and then we're going to put our blue through the loop on that side, and then we're going to lock it down, pull it tight, and that's it. We are done. We can clip off the excess. And just a note that I actually ended up with quite an excess amount of paracord, about almost 3 feet extra, so I'm not sure how that worked out, but anyways, you can subtract that from the original length that I started with, but I will annotate that as well. Alright, so we did our single cobra stitch. Now we're just going to snip and cinch our excess off and we'll be finished. Alright, and there we have it guys, we are finished. Done the KBK bar There's the pattern again, and the excess has been snipped and singed. Okay, so now I'm going to give you a very important tip and observation that I made when doing this bracelet. So originally, earlier in the video, I mentioned I measured out the length as 8.5 inches. However, now that I'm done, when I went to try it on, I noticed that it's about a ½ inch shorter than I started with. Now that's because, see how the core strands have been split apart just due to the nature of the weave? What that's going to do, of course, is shorten your overall length. So what that means is you need to add an extra, I'd say, ½ inch to your overall length before you start. So if you're doing a bracelet that's, say, 9 inches, then you want to do 8.5 inches. Otherwise, you might end up with a bracelet that's a little too tight fitting, okay? So just keep that in mind, and I will annotate that into the earlier part of the video, all right? But yeah, I think that's it. Hope I've explained the technique clearly and concisely. I want to thank you guys for watching. And please be sure to like and subscribe if you haven't already. And I'll be back with more paracord tutorial videos, right? Thanks for watching, guys. See ya.